Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's episode 28 of HardTalk USA. I'm Mr. Neutral, and once again, I've brought to you a collection of wonderful Twitter boxing accounts. There's more to come. Obviously, these are the early risers straight out of the starting gate. I want to present on my right, or should be my left, I should say, or the right of the screen, the boxing man Brett from the from Canada. On the bottom, underneath me, we got the commissioner, aka Ray Dollar, and of course, Rico from Rico Boxing, part of the iBoxing family hub family, I should say, with Trail Dollar Bill. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this occasion.
No problemo. It's really good to be here. Got my brother Trill Dollar Bill crossed away from the US to the UK every Tuesday, Thursday.
Crossed away to the UK from the USA. A great show on iBoxing Hub. Please like and subscribe to them as well. Part of the family of new media, and it's what it's all about. And yes, a great card last night in New York City, the Barclays Center. Hosted its second biggest, highest grossing gate there for the PBC Tank Roach headliner. There is on your screens. I think the first thing to say, gentlemen, and I'll start with my man Brett there. Brett, before we got into the fights themselves, let's talk about the occasion and the fact that we got to see 3 title fights on this card, some great prelims as well. I know you didn't watch many of them, but from the main event in itself, you saw the money that was there.
Yeah.
Right. The fans were there. They turned out in great numbers for the New York. But did you feel at the end of it that the sense of like shock and awe of what has happened in that fight of that main event? Did it really either make the card, in your opinion, or did it deflate it? And
I think, look, if you're in that building, you come away quite deflated. It was probably us that were watching at home that were living it and breathing it, and then going in the spaces afterwards to talk about it. Because you go to a Tank, obviously if you're a Roach fan it's different, but you go to a Tank Davis fan, you want to see him put somebody completely ironed out, and he just I would imagine that they go away from that thinking that they wanted more from it. As you know, I was late to it, and I paid my $79.99, and did I get value for money? I got a lot of talking points out of it, and that's what I love to do. So it's money. It was money well spent for me to see it.
Thank you, Brett. I want to go to the man that brought me into this game, the sensei, Rico Boxing from iBoxing Hub and Banter and Boxing. Did you get to watch the whole card that was on?
Honestly, no. I didn't watch the whole card. I think
you're in Bournemouth, weren't you?
Yeah. So I got back at like 1 a.m. I tried to film it. I think I had like the wrestling on, and I had the card on as well. And then my eyes just going. But obviously I had my daughter today, but I did have the fight on in the background. And from what I could see, Tank just has a bad habit of letting rounds go. Because it's almost like he has it in his head that knockout is going to come. I think Mr. Roach came on stronger towards the latter end of the fight. He looked like he was because the thing is, from Tank seems to struggle with fighters almost the same height and dimension. I don't know. He had it kind of with Pitbull and I can't remember who else was that dimension, but yeah, and I mean, if you're Lamont Roach, you're feeling a little bit, you're definitely feeling let down, considering that knockdown, because I watched it a couple of times and I was like, he definitely took a knee. He took a knee, and then he
Yeah.
went back to the corner. And then
Yeah.
he just had his face wiped off, and then he came back in. And the only equivalent I've ever seen to that is Deontay Wilder getting a doctor in the ring during the Luis Ortiz fight. That's the only sort of equivalent that I've kind of seen on that one, where you know nothing kind of happened. But yeah, it's unlucky. I did have Mr. Roach just winning it. I think by 2 rounds, including that knockdown. And yeah, you know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I hope they do rematch next. And Lamont's stock will have risen immensely. Jamal Herring has been saying on Twitter that don't sleep on this young man, because I did. I'll be real. Like I said many times on the show, to Trill, to everybody, big up Jamsey, that he was gonna just get sparked out in the 7th round. I didn't kind of feel bad for missing the fight, because in my mind I kind of just knew what was gonna happen. But you know, boxing's like that, and it's
It certainly is.
you never know what you're gonna get. But yeah.
Well, let me speak to a man who watched the whole card, because he's over there. He was interested in this card. Trill Dollar Bill, aka the Commissioner. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my actually absolute pleasure to be here with you gentlemen talking boxing on this fine Sunday.
Thank you very much. Now, the first question I need to ask you, Trill, right, was the card and the whole event, was it as big as people had hyped it up to be? We'll get to the fights in a bit, but I'll ask you the same question I asked Brett. Was there a sense of deflation, do you think, from the American audience after all is said and done?
First of all, the first part of the question was it exciting? The atmosphere was exciting. You had the who's who in the hip hop world, in the sports world, entertainment. Everybody was there. You had the who's who, who was there. So yeah, it was exciting. You could feel it in the air. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely feel it in the air. Then it was then you asked another question, was it a deflation?
Now, the reason I ask of that is because disappointment sets into me when the rules have been broken, Trill Dollar Bill. And just before we get on to, I want to say thank you to Jams. Carl W in the house. Good evening from the UK. And we got Hawkins Rinks up live from Sweden. Just landed in Stockholm a few hours ago. Big up to you, sir. Real hardcore.
Big up back in.
Trill Dollar Bill.
Shout out to my brother James.
When all is said and done, the draw must be leaving a deflated feeling.
Did it deflate the building? I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to say the only thing that it probably deflated was Lamont Roach.
Mm-hmm.
Because as far as the building, not at all. You see, everybody was going crazy. It was exciting. Everybody was excited over the draw. People started talking. You say everybody went on Twitter. Twitter was going crazy. This actually brought more excitement. This brought excitement. You know what I'm saying?
Controversy will do that.
You already know what it is. Controversy all the time. So everybody went in there talking. Everybody say, Tank took a knee. And then Lamont paid him back by taking a knee. And then they both took knees. And it was a knee.
My goodness.
Both guys was on their knees.
Let me consult my wee notebook here.
But, everybody was just talking, man. To me, I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I had a chance to speak with my co-host Rico, and I said it was something funny in the air. It was something funny in the air. If you go on across the way from the U.S. to the UK, our last episode, I said, I think that this is going to be a really crazy, tough fight for Tank. And the reason why I said that is because you know, I call myself the self-proclaimed boxing historian, and we know this in history, right? Once a fighter starts talking about retirement, he normally goes in the ring and has one of these, you know, I'm not being no conspiracy theorist. We are all boxing guys. We know this. Every time like a fighter starts talking about retirement, their fights start, something goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that this was going to be a crazy fight. I knew this was going to be a crazy fight. I just didn't know it was going to turn out like this, but I knew it was going to be a tough fight. And once again, I called it. I called it. I don't know if you can hear this, but I queued it up for you guys. And then, you know, you go in there talking about retirement. You go in there and then, you know, you don't perform like how you usually upset in the air. I do this. I do this. I do this. They don't call me Nostradamus for this.
You're some man. You had it queued up the whole time. You Eubank Jr. with the egg.
Man brought receipts to HardTalk USA.
He had the egg and said, "Ah."
All right. I mean, listen. I'm going to pick up a few points here, Tro. Right, and I'm going to go with my man Brett here because I know he's got a bit to say about this. During this fight, and let's talk about rules and what's right and what's not. Brett, tell me about your grievances of that atrocious main event that you've seen. I'm not putting words in your mouth. Tell me how you saw it. Be honest, and don't be afraid to offend, because this is important.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. Look. The bottom line of it is, say what you want, but it's cheating, and he's cheated. And what I did catch, and obviously we were doing the watch along, but what I did catch is you can go back and watch it. He knows what he's done, because when he comes back, Willis puts him back in and they go back at it again. He says he looks over to Roach and says, "My bad." He actually says to him, "My bad." He knew what he did. It's a bizarre thing. It's like Trill said, you know, on reflection, yeah, we're all randomly talking about this knee, and there's a lot of eyes on this, on the after effects of what went down. But it was just so bizarre. Like what was it, a punch? What was it? And afterwards, was there something in his eye? Is that what he wanted wiping?
Hair gel.
Hair gel. Grease.
No, he said hair grease. He said
hair grease,
I'll
to be specific.
Can I just say something just real quickly? Right. Daniel Dubois. Okay. Now he's been plagued with this knee thing for a long time, which is, is disgusting in itself.
Triple knee, I remember.
Exactly. Now it's because that his eye was mashed up.
Listen, Rico.
The face of boxing took a knee because he had hair grease in his hair.
Don't do it to you. Don't do it, Rico. Because
am I lying?
Yes,
am I lying? Strike me down right now.
You know why you lying, Rico? Because he continued.
Let Brett continue with the grievances. This is
mate, what? I mean, so brave. So brave.
Brett, you were alluding to, team trying to cheat at, tell me, elaborate.
Well, he cheated, whichever way you want to do. He's bent the rules, hasn't he? And the referee's not done the right thing. It wasn't. We've seen the official scorecards. Has this been counted as a knockdown with any of them? Did anyone?
No.
No, it was just because he didn't rule it a knockdown, did he? So
he started counting, boxing man. He was like 1, 2. Tank was like, stop it.
Yeah.
And he just went, had a wipe there, came, and then Lamont was like, what are we? Yeah, man.
I mean, look, the bottom line is that if you've got a draw. Although I scored it without that knockdown, I scored it 2 rounds up to Roach anyway. But if you're Roach and if you want to, basically, regardless of how it was scored, officially scored, if they all count that knockdown, Roach is the champ. Like, that's the bottom line. So he's got to have a lot of grievances with that. It's bad refereeing. It's a shame because he's a top referee, but it's bad refereeing. Is he got away with it because he's Tank and he's a superstar? Because it just is extremely bizarre, and it's unfortunate, but it gives us lots to talk about. But he's definitely bent the rules.
But do you know what the irony is? The irony is that he was saying that he's not going to Riyadh because that's what they'll do to their guy. He bent reality to his will like Neo from the Matrix.
Right, I just need to go to the chat, gents, for a second. Big up WCS in the house. Salute, gents, and our Boxing Media Hub. Thank you, sir. Carl W says, truth is, American fight fans need to up their game. No passion like British and Mexican fans. There's something to be said that although, the majority of the big fights are noisy. They really are. The atmosphere is crazy in there. It's just that sometimes the TV producers are very good at, toning that down. But let's go back to the chat. James Boxing chat, big up Carl Hacken and World Combat Sports. He agrees that's a new tune made up from at it. But look, excuses galore. Tank was Roach was actually seen on Twitter there that Tank was speaking to him, saying, "You ain't gonna get it."
Yeah, that's wild.
It's like a full-blown conversation going on mid-fight, which is, again, another strange thing to add on to what was a list of very strange events in the fight. Let's talk about the knee now. He took a knee to, in his mind, get assistance from his corner to wipe something from his eye. Now, according to the rules, if you take a knee voluntarily, it's automatic 10-8 round. And if you seek assistance without the referee's intervention, there actually is a precedent for disqualification, especially as Tank's second actually put his foot on the canvas. That's actually precedent for disqualification. But Steve Willis didn't catch that, and he didn't catch the knee for some reason. Now, I've got to come to you, Troll. This is a difficult conversation as an American fan of not only boxing, but for the establishment that which boxing is worked under. Is this not a bit of an embarrassment for New York State Athletic Commission once again on a PBC card? That controversy has outweighed the goodness that we should have seen. What do you think?
Sometimes as boxing fans, we can be a little bit dramatic, right? Don't you think? I think we can be a little bit dramatic. I think that this sets up the rematch perfectly, right? Tank was having this type of aura around him that he was unbeatable. This was humbling. This was a humbling. Some maybe even call it a gift, right? And all fighters get a gift here and there, right? But somebody even call it a gift. Some people said, some people still had Tank up. You know what I'm saying? 15-13 in this. Even the judges. One of the judges had it 15-13. The other two had it a draw. You know what I'm saying? So some people still thought that he pulled it off. Even when they said a draw and he went to the corner and did the whole dramatic thing. Oh. the fans was in agreement with him. Like some of them thought that he won, you know. So this is gonna. I think the people that don't like Tank, this is more fire for them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
This is more fire for them to be like, hey, see, guys, I told you he wasn't who I thought he was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
But you must accept the scrutiny now because of social media on
Yeah.
boxers
You know what I'm
is ever
saying?
more
Comparing him
prevalent.
with
So
Devin, right?
they're
Comparing him
liable
with
for
Devin.
this kind of criticism.
It comes with the sport. Listen, when you got to be able to take it. If you able to dish it, you got to be able to take it. You know what I'm saying? Just like he goes
Absolutely.
on there and he gives it to all these fighters and gives it to the fans. He got to be able to take it too. You know, like you got to take your
And not
loss.
delete his tweets.
We should, to be fair, I mean, since it was a draw, you didn't lose. We should have still had the backflip.
But look. Nah. Listen. In my humble opinion, and I like Tank. I thought that Roach pulled it off.
You're not the only one.
And I'm sitting there, I was like, maybe I need to go back and watch the fight again. And usually when I do rounds, right, and I get to a swing round, I give it to the champion.
Yeah.
I still had it for Roach. I had it with the other judge had it, but I had it for Roach. I had it 15-13 for Roach. So I said, maybe I need to go back and watch it again. And I was rooting.
See, you can understand from not only the neutral's point of view, but the Roach side point of view, and obviously the anti-tank side's point of view. They're very outweighed now in the opinion poll that something was very wrong. Rico, you know, again, coming back to this main event, you know, when you were watching it and doing your own watch along, was there a sense of injustice in your heart at the end of that fight from a neutral's point
No,
of view?
I didn't do the watch along. I couldn't stay
Sorry.
awake. I'm not gonna lie, but I watched it at my parents while I had my tour. And yes, definitely, it's because it was. And I have to put my hands up and say that I didn't think that Lamont could impose himself the way that he did to Tank. You know, I didn't think that he would. You know, his shots were, they had spite. Um, you know, they were without question, if that makes sense. And Tank just seemed like he was downloading and downloading and downloading, and he couldn't download anymore. But he was obviously going strong early on. I just don't feel. I just don't feel that the fighters that led up to this particular fight would have sharpened his tools and, you know, sort of disparaged all the bad habits that he's come to pick up along the way, you know, because he gives away rounds, you know, unnecessarily. Um, and it's unfortunate, you know, because Tank is very, very talented, very talented. But you almost get this sense that that maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me or something, but there might not be just that belief. Because if this was Shakur, based off of this performance, like Shakur would have just danced around him like Swan Lake. You know what I mean? It may not have hurt him, but that's, you know.
What you were saying, what you're saying, Rico. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't look at Tank like how everybody else looks at Tank, man.
He's very talented, Tank.
No,
Very talented.
I think he's very talented, but people also got to realize that Tank is this guy in his last couple fights, like last 5 fights or 6 fights. Hasn't changed. He's very economical with his punches. He doesn't waste anything. You know, yeah, he gives off the couple of rounds, but he did start faster this time around. I just think that Lamont Roach was dialed in. He was dialed in, and he fought really smart. He got caught with a couple of shots, but he was dialed in and he fought really smart. Tank, Lamar had the size and was using the size. He was pushing Tank back. People see, like when I say people look at Tank differently than what I look at Tank, I look at Tank as like people look like a monster. Like how you were saying it, like people respect certain things for him. So when he does certain things, I'm surprised because usually when he comes into the ring, he fights at 135, but every time he gets on the scales, he's like weighing 133 and 132 and stuff like that. He's not even 135. You know what I'm saying? So with the things that when I see him doing, I be like, it's kind of impressive because he really is a small guy. He really is a small guy. You ever see Tank in person? He's like,
you could say the same thing about Loma though, because Loma wasn't really a 135-pounder either.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying. But so what he does is extra talented. You know what I'm saying? Going against these bigger guys. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always gave Loma so much credit. These guys are actually fighting in their real weight class.
Yes,
but true.
Yeah.
Would that not make it? Would that not make?
Let me cook. All the other guys are draining themselves to be down there, so they can hydrate and be the big guys. So when they get mad because they are rehydrate, of course you're gonna get a rehydrate. Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? Are you crazy? You know. Yeah, I see it now, but I don't look at him like it's just a big invisible guy. I think he's a talented guy, but when I see him going in there, the smaller guy with the shorter reach, and he's able, like when he pulls these things off, I'm like, oh, that's dope. Because I don't look at him as this monster and this boogeyman that everybody looks at him as. I really look at him what he is. You know what I'm saying? He's a small guy. He's a small guy, and he's happen to be talented, and he got a little punch with him.
Interesting you say that because Brett, when we were doing the watch along, it was obvious from round one something wasn't right. I know Tank starts slowly, but I've never seen a round where Tank never landed a punch in all my fights watching Tank. I've never seen a round as was in round, I think it was round 4. He didn't throw a punch. He didn't land a punch, rather.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, doesn't that make it all the more impressive?
But yeah, but Trail was saying beforehand that something was off in New York. Something was not right. Brett, when we were watching that fight, I had Roach something like 4-1 up after 5 rounds. And then we were starting to say, well, Tank's got to start putting this pressure on. I know you're a Tank fan, Brett. So
yeah,
I know that you were looking for the good work in Tank. When did it start coming?
The thing that there's a theory here to be said that we saw with the sparring stories. There's amateur stories, right? And he knew him. And he knew him, and part of me feels like was he just looking, not really throwing it, because he knew deep down he could get him out of there anytime. In his mind, he could get him out of there anytime he wanted with that big shot, because he's felt him before. He knows him. They know each other, and part of his arrogance, because it was almost like he was sparring for the first 6 rounds. And I again, being a fan, I've gone out there and publicly said that I was very, very disappointed in him because I wanted to see a lot more. But I was giving him the excuse, always downloading, like Rico just said. I give him his benefit is that, like Crawford, take the first few rounds to feel him out. And even said on the watch along, didn't we, Nooch? Like he's put his arm out, he's range finding, he's tapping in, he's just tapping, waiting for that big bomb. But as time went on, Roach got more and more confident, to the point what Trill said, he was dialed in. He was hunting him down towards the end of the fight. He was going after him, and he was locked in. And Tank was just, let's see what comes out in the wash. Did he have a bad camp? What's the Calvin Ford thing? Like, why did Calvin only turn up at the weigh-in? Like, what's going on? I totally agree with Trill about this retirement thing. Like, the retirement thing, like, it always puts the seed, or did Rico say that retirement thing puts a seed of doubt in your mind. He ain't that killer anymore. He's not turning up saying, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. I'm going to take his soul. He's talking about retirement. I don't want him. Jams, I don't know if that Jams found that, but that whole I don't want to become a meme thing. Like, what is this guy talking about? At the end of the day, he's a prize fighter, and he was what we had him down as a killer, and that was his excitement. You know, look what Rolly was doing to him, and then boom, lights out, done. Santa Cruz, boom, lights out, done. That's what we were expecting to see. So we were giving him, or we were doing on the watch line. We were almost making excuses for him. Oh, it's all right. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And Roach was like,
9, 10, 11. Yeah.
Roach was like, nah, it ain't coming. I'm in.
And he took everything that Tank threw at him as well. And I mean, Trill, I want to come back to you about what Brett has just been saying there. You were nodding your head in agreement at certain points he was making.
Cooking. Shout out to Brett. Brett was cooking. He was doing his day. He on fire right now.
So can you accept that? And as I want to go to one of the comments in the chat. It comes from Joe. Welcome, Joe. Thanks very much for your comments on. All the greats had a bad night. That's true.
You know,
not saying Tanks are great, but at the risk of sounding like a fury, it is what it is, 110%. I posted earlier, was it a bad night, or has Tank changed in your eyes, Trill?
I just found it weird with the whole retirement talk. Tank wasn't the same Tank. Talk about counseling. everything Brett was saying, like it was just different. This was a different atmosphere. Maybe it was a little bit of he underestimated Roach, a little bit of he was, drinking, sipping his own Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? Feeling himself a little bit too much. Because he was saying, don't bring your mother. Don't bring your mother. Don't bring them. Don't, you know what I'm saying? So like he was probably feeling like it was just a matter of time before he landed it, and he just didn't land it. Or it was just a bad night at the office. It happens. It happens. But I don't want to say none of that. I don't want to make no excuses. You know what I want to say? I want to say Lamont Roach fought one hell of a fight. That's what I want to say. I want to say that he trained hard. He knew the task at hand. When Tank was saying that the fight was off, Lamont was still training. He didn't stop training. He stayed training. He stayed in the gym. He didn't care. He was focused on Tank. No matter what Tank was saying, he was focused. No matter what, everybody was against him. Everybody was against him. Everybody was talking about this fight. Like, what is he doing? He's bringing up Lamont Roach. Lamont done lost to Jamel Herring. He ain't a nobody. What is this guy? He's bringing up a guy from a small weight class. And Lamont, I told everybody, Lamont going to be bigger than Tank.
Yeah.
I said he's going to be bigger than Tank.
And he was much bigger.
And he was. And he
looked a lot bigger.
He used that. Like, he really pushed Tank back. Tank done went back before and fought and, was able to use counters before and stuff. Like, we seen what he did to Roach. But this was different. This was different. This was a guy pushing them back, putting them paws on him. And he was hitting them with some stuff. Even though Tank did return fire and, busted up Lamont's nose and all that, Lamont wasn't laying down. He believed in himself. And he
told everyone, Lamont, as well.
He told everybody that this is going to be his coming out party. You know what I'm saying? And he said that there's going to be a rematch. And look, we got a rematch. We got a rematch here. And then I bet you, whoever wins, like Lamont's going to go on and do some wonderful things after this. No matter what, Lamont's going to win.
Oh, his stock has gone through the roof. Rico, I want to come to you. You're a massive Wu-Tang Clan fan, right?
Yeah.
You think Tank had it in his mind coming out in his ring walk with two members of the Wu-Tang Clan?
That was Dipset.
Was that? Oh, sorry, I thought that was.
It came out with Jules Santana and Jim Jones.
A great ring walk. He looked in the dressing room beforehand he looked really, what shall I say, disinterested. But as soon as he got into that arena, man, he just bounced in that ring. He was looking great. I was saying to Brett, you know, he comes alive when he gets into that ring. But as soon as that bell went, it all went downhill. Now, coming to the result of the split draw, sets up a rematch in Trill's words, Brett. But I do believe that Roach has other plans and maybe looking at a Shakur Stevenson fight that he said that he'd be up to. Trill, do you think this fight could happen across promotion?
Nah, I think Tank versus Lamont Roach is next. That's where the money is, and money talks, and you know the rest.
But do you think Tank would? Let's see. Is there a risk factor involved here? Tank.
Yeah, I mean, what's the risk? The risk is what? Him losing? It happens in boxing. I'm not with the man. You know I'm old school, right? You know I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
But I'm an old guy. I'm not with this old stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like all my favorite fighters got losses. There's only one of them, Floyd, that don't got no losses, but everybody else got losses, and these guys is great.
He took that as a loss. You seen him in the corner at the end of the fight, and the draw was declared. He went to the corner, slapped his hands on the ring ropes as if somebody's stolen his bike.
You gonna tell me Saul ain't nice? Saul got a loss. Bivol got a loss.
Yeah.
Off the Better Beef got a loss. Sugar Ray Robinson got losses.
They're not 30 years old and thinking of retiring. No, this is the threat that boxing faces. That this face of boxing in America's face of boxing, you know, at this point could even be considering retiring, considering how valuable and how important he is. But then on the other hand, fans and the authorities who think like that don't take into account health and safety and what's good for the boxer. So it's a very difficult decision now for Tank moving forward. Let's talk about what he's going to do now. You see that it's nailed down for the rematch, but as we all know in boxing, you see one thing one week, and then the next week they're talking about somebody else. So give me your predictions, boys, who Tank's going to be fighting next and why.
I can't see anything other than the rematch, to be honest, Mr. Neutral. The money's going to be astronomical because we're all gonna. There's going to be eyes on it now. Roach is going to play on the fact of I got robbed. So there's nowhere else for Tank to go. You know, we'll get onto the Shakur thing and stuff like that and what we all think is good. But let's just talk about this next particular thing. Tank has to rematch him. Tank can do what he wants. All right, he's face of American boxing, whatever you want to, or however people look at it. He has to take this rematch, and the reason in his mind, he's whacking his hands on the ropes. It's probably because he's thinking, "Fucking hell, I didn't even try that hard tonight. It was an off night, and I'm not taking anything away from the, Roach. I'm not taking anything away from him. He was dialed in. He deserves it. But Tank didn't do enough. He didn't do much in the fight. So in Tank's mind, if he gets a good training camp under his belt, he takes this one really seriously, like he did the preparations for Garcia. If he takes it really seriously, he'll have to favour himself of ironing him out early. He'll think he can get him out of there early. So I think it'd be ridiculous of him to go another route at this stage.
Rico.
Yo.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'd echo good brother Brian.
Brett,
I'm so sorry. Brett. Yes, the Lamont Roach fight is absolutely next. The money will be huge, definitely, but Tank feels like he lost because the general consensus and public opinion is that he did lose. So he'll be wanting to get it back. And to be honest, I think that Lamont, he after that, glitch in the matrix scenario, I would definitely say he deserves a rematch with Tank. And congratulations to him again, man. But regardless, he's got a fight with Shakur. Shakur said he'll give him an opportunity. So the world is his oyster. Congratulations to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He's got a choice.
After the rematch, he can get in there with Shakur,
and be the unified champion if he beats Tank.
he need to run it back with Padley instead of Shakur. Need to stop talking and run it back with Padley and let my homeboy Paddy get a full training camp. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Give our brother a chance. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Give my man a chance. With a full training camp, not 2 days. He got his own problems to worry about. And Tank, he needs to also. He has to focus. He got a little wild in there. He got counted way too much for me in that fight.
Yeah.
He got counted way too much for me in that fight. It didn't seem that Lamont really hurt him or stunned him, but he got hit way too much. And I think if Lamont got that confidence that he has now, and he puts some oomph behind them shots, he can really hurt. He can hurt Tank if Tank goes in there being reckless, because now he done gave Lamont a different type of confidence now.
That could play into Tank's favor though. It trailed because he on the counter. If he wanted to step it up a little bit and be more aggressive, he might walk onto something as well. It's very interesting how this could go if we see the rematch.
Yeah, I just felt something was missing from it. I felt that he was missing a gear. His clutch wouldn't go into super drive.
Yeah, but I think Lamont just came in with a really good game plan, because he
denied him that extra gear, and that is what I was leading to my next point. People have just got to give Lamont Roach credit. The man's a 130-pound champion, coming up to 135-pound. I said before the fight, he looks good at that weight.
Yeah, he do.
That's going to bring some extra oomph to his game, and he did. Nobody expected Lamont Roach to survive 12 rounds, let alone be in a position of winning that fight.
Shout out to his dad. His dad was keeping
big shout out to his father, his whole team.
Arm in the corner. His dad was telling him exactly what to do. He wasn't motivating him. He was telling him what to do, and he was keeping him calm. You know what I'm saying? And he like, okay, you almost messed up that one. Don't overextend. You know what I'm saying? Just letting him know. So shout out to his dad. His dad, that was his dad's willing him as well.
I also think that that loss to Herring as well, and the taste of defeat, the way that it happened.
And he wasn't happy about that.
No, and that's the thing. I feel like this is his redemption arc.
Absolutely. Right. Let's move on from Tank. We had 3 other fights on the card. I can only think of 2 of them at the minute. We had the main event was a Rio.
Yes,
absolutely fantastic fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandor Martin against Alberto Puello, but Gary Russell, Antoine Russell.
Great
fight. If you guys saw him, what a fight! What a performance!
This is the Gary Antoine Russell we've been waiting for. His last performance was underwhelming, and he was just coming in, not moving his head. This was great. His speed was on point. He was so fast in there, man. I thought this was like 126 pounder or something.
And he only lost to the guy who fought before, Puello, and he had a fantastic fight against Sandor Martin. This card was just brimming right up to the main event, and that's why I want to move on very quickly, because we've only got a little section of the show left, gentlemen. And I want to talk about the Lewis Crocker, Paddy Donovan fair in Belfast, the DAZN event with Matchroom. This fight ended in controversy, gentlemen. I don't know if you've had time to watch any of the highlights.
I was watching it at the Ryan Garner fight.
Right. Probably a better.
Big up to my guy Ryan Garner as well, European champion, Southampton. Big up Saints in the building. Okay, St. Mary's, we are coming. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Let's go. But Yes, Paddy Donovan, Lewis Crocker. The fight was just
gentlemen.
one-sided, absolutely one-sided up until the disqualification by the ref. Now, I was watching that fight. What struck me was it takes two to tango, right, gentlemen? You know, when two boxers are lowering their heads and they're coming together, inevitably there's going to be clashes. Now, this referee deemed it necessary to warn Paddy Donovan on no less than 5 occasions before he took a point. But he was only looking at Paddy Donovan. Lewis Crocker was doing the complaining. Instead of talking to Crocker, he was talking to Donovan. Now, when the disqualification came, a punch was thrown after the bell, or what was deemed after the bell, which turned out to be just after the bell, was thrown by Donovan on Crocker, which subsequently dropped him, and the referee subsequently disqualified him. But the referee was in fault here, gentlemen. The clacker, the 10-second clacker had gone off. Now, it's the referee's job to be within something like a foot and a half of these two gentlemen to ready for the hand in to separate them. He was nowhere near them. When that clacker went off, nowhere near them. Now, the British Boxing Board of Control, I've got a problem here because on appeal, for me, Lewis Crocker would lose this fight and get the result overturned and not be the interim for can't remember the welterweight fight that he was going to be, the IBF that he was going to be mandatory for. That could well go to Paddy Donovan now because of that event. Did you feel when you watched it back, gentlemen, that, or I'll go to you, Brett, first. Did you have a watch back of that fight?
Yeah, I did, mate.
Now, give me your thoughts on the headbutting situations, and then obviously the disqualification in itself.
Well, I think you said it best when you said it takes two to tango. I mean, it was the heads were flying in from what I could see. Obviously a little bit more aggressively from the Donovan side, but I will say this: prior, obviously Crocker is with that late punch has been given the biggest lottery ticket ever because he was done. He was out. He couldn't see in that eye, and when a man knows he's on his way out because he was swinging from the hills and just throwing absolute haymakers in the hope that almost like David Hay did when his ankle went, where David Hay was just throwing bombs just because he knew he was done. He knew he was done, and he knew he was going to get out of there. And that late punch has completely saved him because if he hadn't gone then, he would have gone the next round. He couldn't see. So you can see how upset Donovan was. I haven't seen too much of the after-match interviews and what's being said, but the referees of course the referees let him down. Of course the referee has let him down. But it was a late blow as well. It really was late. Like I'm not having the bell had gone and then it was like a couple of and then boom. Then it was just it wasn't. Is he blaming it on the noise? What's he blaming it on? Did he say he couldn't hear the bell?
Nah, it's not even about him hearing the bell. First of all, this is nowhere near Donovan's fault. In my opinion, I get what you're saying, but he's a fighter in full flow, and he's hurt him already. Like you're saying, bro was disgruntled. Like in his mind, he was going for the kill. Referee should have immediately been. He was damn near on the other side of the arena.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like that referee is an absolute tosspot. Okay, I don't know what if Donovan didn't like it. Like I don't know, Donovan was smashing his misses or whatever, but there was just something foul with the way that he was treating my guy Donovan. And the thing is, with Crocker, like I actually went to Ireland and watched Crocker. Like Crocker's very, very good, but ever since he came overweight in that fight, his performances have been really like weird, man. I don't know if it's the weight or whatever, but He's just, for me, he's having trouble adjusting to his opponent from the beginning of the fight. And the thing is, Donovan, being such a skilled boxer, just outclassed him. He was about to send bro to hell, and the referee, like, it looked orchestrated from the ref. Because why would you be so far away if you're an experienced seasoned ref? Why would you be so far away from a fighter who's literally in full throw throwing combinations next to the rope? Like,
yeah, very true. Very true. He should have been there, the arm ready.
And he's not going to be held accountable. And this is what's disgusting about this sport.
Yeah. I mean, and that was sort of the essence of my gripe sort of thing with this weekend's boxing. Is not only in the UK, but in the US, terrible refereeing decisions have ruined 2 main events on 2 cards in the same night. I wouldn't say ruined, but they've been highly controversial. Certainly in the Paddy Donovan, certainly that's ruined for him, and he was absolutely distraught. I even said in the watch along, this guy is distraught, guys.
But Padre, I'd say it ruined it for Lamont as well, because that
and
an opportunity to be a 2-weight world champion simultaneously. Like,
that man had his son in his hand, right, in his arm.
Heartbreaking.
And that, listening to Tank make excuses like my the grease is running into my hair and all.
And he told the crowd to shut up. He said to them,
like that from a champion.
He was like, "Why are you doing?"
It just reminded me of Amanda Serrano. It's ridiculous. But listen, look, I want to see Tank in that ring as soon as possible. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I think there's going to be other forces in play that's just going to completely ruin that avenue for Lamont Roach. I don't know. I hope not, but I just get this nasty feeling that that's what's going to happen. But as far as Lamont Roach goes, he was absolutely tremendous last night. And he should get the rematch. And like you say, like you guys said, it's going to be a massive, massive money event. And he deserves it. It's the least he really should. He should be 2-week.
This is going to be.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Go on, Tro.
No. I was going to say it because what fight came in my mind. I don't know why, but this moment is not going to be like the fight, but it's going to be that moment, right? Where you felt like Meldrick Taylor should have won against Chavez, but Richard still stopped the fight with 2 seconds left. And you wish that Meldrick Taylor would have got a chance to get that victory against Chavez.
Never got it.
Everybody was waiting for the rematch, and then you see what Chavez did in the rematch, completely destroyed Meldrick Taylor. You know what I'm saying? So I think that
he never got it.
This one, where the ref, dropped the ball with that knockdown. You know what I'm saying?
That was the kneest of knees I've seen.
Taking the knee, I guess. Or I mean the judges too, because without that, I still had Lamont up by 1. So I think but I think that Tank figures about in this second fight right here. But I also hope that Tank and Calvin figure something out, because a lot of things that people are not talking about is that dynamic in the corner. These guys was going at each other in the corner, yelling at each other, and that's not like Calvin and Tank. There's something else going on.
Although that Tank was running the corner rather than Calvin, which is
I heard Calvin shout, "Why did you use that grease?" I swear.
So things are not all well in there, and this is the forces I'm talking about, which could steer Tank in other directions right now. Yes.
Sorry, really quick question. So Billy Nelson has said that Crocker is 100% going straight for the title.
Yes.
And won't be rematching Donovan. Just a quick kind of what do you reckon about that?
I think Billy knows that he's in a very fortunate position. Why I understand the move. It's morally, it's incorrect. He knows that he should give Paddy Donovan a rematch. I know they won't, because it's too dangerous. Simple as that. It was one-sided affair, and probably could end up worse for the lad next time. But let Paddy Donovan. That's not that's one of them fights on a resume that loss will stick out in the future for one reason and one reason only, because he's so good that this guy is going to be a world champion anyway. But look, guys, the end of the night has come, and I want to thank each and every single one of you for being loyal to Mr. Neutral, coming along yet again for HardTalk USA. This program is sponsored by Falcon Contractors and Jams Boxing Chat, and I want to thank my sponsors as well for this show. And once again, gentlemen, thank you. We will see you all next week for episode 29. Brett, salute to you, sir. Salute to you, Trill, and to my sensei, Rico. Once again, this has been HardTalk USA.
Proud of you, Padre. Doing great things here. Love it.
See you fucking next time. Let's go.